Hello and welcome. I have my Cherry Blossom Altered Book Journal today. I'm back from my trip to see the changing of the leaves, which wasn't as great as it's been in prior years because of the climate change, but this is what called me after my trip. So I have decided that I wanted to start now at the back of this book and work forward because I didn't want the book to become too distorted. So my prep has been to go into my old standby, and my hand just fell on these 3 pieces of collage for this collage story. It didn't take me long, only in the first section of this portfolio, which is my go-to standby and seems always to come up with something that gives me joy. So these are my 3 pieces that I'm going to be working with in this spread. Let me slide this back in its little home over here. Let me get rid of this bookmark silk. There we go. And since I've been working in the junk journals, I'm liking very much the effect that I get when I use a distress ink around the edge of the papers, and so I think I'm going to use this vintage photo lightly, and I'm going to start by putting the strange but true, I'm going to start by putting the frame on here. There are 2 pieces of this Japanese book paper glued together with a glue stick to making a nice heavy or heavier seeming piece of paper. They glue down beautifully together. I don't know whether that's the quality of the paper or the glue stick, but it's really wonderful the way one part of your art affects another. Learning by doing in art is the name of the game. And now that I have started the frame on this page, I'm going to go to a reddish one and include that. Now my question is, which reddish one? Shall I use StazOn? I vote for Cherry Pink. Well, I guess it's this way. Or it'll be here. Let's see. Getting acquainted with a new sponge. Yes, I'm also liking that combination. Never done this before, but it came over me while I was getting out the media for this project. I guess I couldn't wait to try the experiment, so I'm doing it first. It's like eating dessert first. Why not? Who made that rule? And thank goodness there are no art police. So, my next step is going to be some background. And I want this background to be fairly light. So I've taken out two of my lightest pinks, almost a not there pink. I just purchased this peony and hydrangea pink, just to put a little bit of subtle background on here. This one had been my lightest pink. What a difference. Alrighty. Let's let me start out with this new one and see what happens. Not too much, I hope. Just the tiniest bit, so that's all right. I'm going to have to use more of the old standby hydrangea. And let's make our and some pink leaves, why not? Is this better? Oh yes. Yes, much better. Bit more over there. And I'm going to experiment. I'm going to put on the hydrangea first and then the light one over it. Why not? Let's find out what happens. Right. Oh my, why did you move this, Carol? Well, we're just going to cheat. We're just going to have a little cheat here now. Missed down here. Not good. Now let's see what all that sound and fury did for us. Oh yes. All right. A good thing. Now the fun part. I'm going to want to tear. No cutting on this bit of business today. So let's see if we can get her. So far, it's going here. It's this thin magazine paper, and it rips beautifully. It doesn't have a mind of its own at all. Very nice. Now, these are strong, but soften that corner. This is heavier paper, so I really have to clamp it down with my left thumbnail. There's green over here, so I don't want to eliminate this green completely. Where are we? Oh yes, okay, here. I think I'm going to bring this closer to her. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Now, this one. One of my watercolors that has given its life for its country here. This is wonderful. I'm going to keep every little bit of it because this has potential too, someplace else. And watercolor paper is fun to rip. Alrighty. Back into the envelope that will go. Now, what's going to happen here? Well, didn't that just place itself? Maybe she needs to be over here closer. Okay, she's going to have to look at something. Yes. Well, there's my collage story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm going to glue this down and have a think. My think came before the gluing down to the collage. I'm using the Distress Oxide Walnut Stain around the edge to cover up the white paper, and then I decided, well, if I do this lightly enough, which I can do by blotting off, I might be able to put a nice shadow behind her. And yes, it's working. It's bringing out this olivey yellow-green here, and I wonder if it's going to do the same over here. Well, we're about to see. That was certainly was a brainstorm. And yes, it works very well with these colors. Now, let's get some of the white off here. And off here. I think it's the nature of this sponge to let this happen like this, because it's not as vigorous as though I were holding a proper blending tool here. Let's see what we can do now. With this bit in the curve. All right. Well, I don't think I'm too tickled the fact that I didn't, oh, there it is. There it is. Now, shall I back that? Why not? I'm thinking it could be very attractive. Let's see what happens. Not too much. Not too much, Carol. Don't get carried away. I wonder how many of you talk to yourself by name when you're doing this. Come on, show of hands. If you call yourself by name when you're arting, own up, this is the time. Let me not be the only crazy person. And talk to yourself by name in a studio when you're by yourself. It's scary business. Okay, we're coming right down there. Now, the glue stick. Well, I have had a nice think while doing this, and I've decided that I might use these 4 brushes that I got before I went away. These were 4 for $10. I believe in A.C. Moore, Premier, Amethyst, and the ones that I had for eons, probably for 25 plus years, had finally given up the ghost. I think this puppy is in my Pitiful Brushes container now, but this is probably, it just doesn't come back together and do what I want it to do. So, the big one, too big. Let's see about the ½ inch and the 3/8. Let's play a little bit. I want to do this. Some of these colors have a lot of red in them, so I got my standby much loved Napa Red by Americana, a little fuchsia, folk art, I'm sorry, not fuchsia, magenta, and the darker shade of pink from the background, the hydrangea. Goodness, I haven't done this in eons. Let's see what happens. I know what's supposed to happen. Let's see if it does happen. Well, not too badly. Not too badly. Now I'm going to have to move this around a bit now. She needs to be looking at something, so let's let her look over here. For a start. And I can always lighten up. And actually I can also always darken if necessary. Goodness, I used to be able to do these in my sleep. Now, we need a little bit of lightening here. Yes. Just at the edge here. Let's see what happens. We have a nice dark one. Maybe a nice dark one tucked in there. Let's just tuck one in back here. And here. Whoops, let's do something about this space now. And how do I fix that? By putting some light over this one. And some more here. We can come back and visit that one again. Let's have a bud up here. And a smaller one. 3, Carol. Remember 3s. All right. Now over on this side, I need more red. Cardinal Red Ceramcoat. Here we go. If you'll notice, I'm not I'm not cleaning the brush, I'm adding color and letting things happen. Now, alrighty. Sorry, I couldn't speak because the brush was in my mouth. Not a good place for it, but it happens. Let's get this here. And this. This here. And let's have definite redness coming down here. And now I'm going to add a little fuchsia to the tip of its next petal. And maybe just a little touch of lightener there. All right. And nope, I don't think. Do I want yes or no? Okay, but it needs to come out lighter. It needs to be lighter. Yes, it does. And let's put the red back on top now, with some Napa red mixed in. And let's have a little lightness here. And flowers being flowers. As I said, it's been quite a while, and things have not. Practice makes perfect, and that's not been happening, obviously. Let me fix this puppy up a little bit now. One thing about acrylics, it's always fixable. Always, always. this is going to be drying. So while they do that, I'm going to do this. Forest Ceramcoat Forest Green. And Stone Wedge Green. Love this color as my lightener for anything. Okay, and the tip of the smaller brush to put a center in this flower, or at least the beginning of one. Let's see what we can do here to get a little we'll get these buds and leaves. and down here and off the page. 4, 5. Well, let's just fix this puppy up. Goodness gracious. There we go. Need a little bit of something terrible over here because of that yellow-green. So let's have a little terrible. I've got a little tree frog. Maybe just a touch over here. It's really quite incredible the way the addition of that sun of yellow in there does do the trick. One, two, three. Over here too. Just think so because of this color right here. But let's make small ones. Just fillers. Happy additions. And here. Well, I think that this is going to stop while I do some drying. And I'm feeling the urge because of this black pen work here. I think I'm going to add black pen work, especially to the flowers. God bless this one, it needs it. And get my Muji out and darken her eyes so that it's obvious that those eyes are looking this way. That's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. So I'm using my Pilot G2, which is a rather thick point, as you can see, to pick out these shapes over here, and not, I'm certainly not outlining anything, just picking out sides, shapes, important bits of this downward-looking flower and these leaves. And over here, I'm picking out the definite petals that I can see or imagine on this flower. And I had added some black, as you'll notice, some with the tip. Before I washed my brushes, I used the tip, the wooden tip of the brush to put some black on there. Now, let's just let some of these big ones stand out a little bit here. This is a turned leaf, so I'm going to make sure that I show that turn. And these are the leaves growing around the buds. There. A little bit up here, down in the valley. Just a little here. Oops, this one. Let's not forget this one. Little but mighty. Okay. And a little word with the greenies here, with the yellow greens. It's really quite incredible what just the slightest marking with a pen can do to express an area. Now, let me find the Muji. Let me do a little something more with her eyes. And maybe just a bit. I think her nostrils are fine. Let me get here. Let's see. Yes, I think less is more. Maybe just a little marking as to where her chin and face are. And let me bring some of the design of her clothes out just a little bit. I'm going to come out past the lines here because why not? And the flowers in her hair. And now I think because of this, I want to do a little bit more with the leaves on this page. And I don't think that one. And you'll notice I'm using that very fine Muji. I don't want this to be too much of a line statement, but just I think they need something. Let's go to Signo Uniball number, no, I don't want micro. I'm not sure that I didn't hear the bell ring. I will be right back. Yes, that was the doorbell. Let's just turn this puppy into a leaf. Why don't we? Why just don't we? Yes, I think I will. Let's show the edges of this leaf a little bit more. I've expanded that a bit. And now I'm thinking I'm going to use the Muji to pick out something like these flowers. With some of the shapes that I see in those petals. Let's have another one in here. It's going to be green, but that's okay. And a third one. Let's work by threes. And I'm thinking this might just need, and I'm thinking that this would be now. What did we just have? With the Muji, I'm sorry, I'm mumbling to myself because I'm wondering why I just don't add some more petals back here. And let's do something with the petals that we have already. And the bottom ones, the hidden ones, let's make them a bit darker. Yes. And then these in here, because they're way under these petals, so let's get some darkening in here. Just a suggestion. That's, I'm thinking that this is going to be all that this collage story calls for. I'm quite pleased with this section, and this flower worked out nicely. And just adding that tiny bit of darkening with the Muji to her eyes and lips just picked out a little bit more of her expression, pulled out some of the lines in her clothing, added some pen flowers, continued this that was ripped through, and why not? And this down-facing flower outlined, and not even outlined, just let's say picked out with the pen. Help that one. I do hope that you have enjoyed sharing the fun that I've been having in my Cherry Blossom Altered book. Bye now.